Okay, thanks for checking out the Huygens principle program. It's a neat little program that sort of illustrates some of the basic concepts of the Huygens principle. If we start off with a single point source, one of the things that Huygens principle says that the wavefront generated travels perpendicular to the direction of motion, which sort of makes obvious sense. And then if we have a number of waves, we've got a whole bunch of wavelengths. One of the things that you can actually do is actually measure the wavelength of the waves generated. So we get a wavelength here of approximately 50. So we've got some reference point to the values that we can work with from here on in. So if I simply reset it, and so if I go back to number of waves, and I'm saying, well, let's do a whole bunch of different point sources. One of the things says a whole bunch of different point sources is equivalent to a wavefront. So if I actually go and start the wave, we see we've got a wavefront activated. And if we reset, and once again, if we do more waves and we start the wave, we get a nice wavefront generated. And once again, if we measure the length, and for X we do more, we get a distance difference of 151 for 3 waves is 50. So if we reset it now, instead of doing it all simultaneous, I sequentially create a wave. And now what will happen is, when we do it, we get a wave that's created at an angle. So if I do more waves, I create a wave at an angle, and we have a particular wavelength. And once again, if we go and measure the wavelength, we get a wavelength of 50 again. So there, that shows how you can get an angled wave created from a whole bunch of point sources. So then we can go to the other extreme, is what happens if we start talking about reflection. So if we have a wave front, here's my wave front, and I come in at a straight wave, it comes in, it activates all the points at one time, and it reflects off. So once again, let's stop the wave, and I reset. Set time to 0. So if I go and change the number of wave fronts, and I start the wave, it goes and hits the wave and bounces off. And once again, if I go and measure that angle, or measure that length, again I get 50. So the same sort of thing. What happens if I change the angle? Now what happens when the wave comes in, it's going to activating the points at a different rate. It's not simultaneous. Once again, if I go stop the wave after it moves a bit, and I stop the wave and measure the wavelength, once again I get a consistent angle. Likewise, we know the angle of incidence has to equal the angle of reflection. So if I got 35 degrees coming in, I can actually go and measure the angle going out, which will be 35 degrees. So now if I go into refraction, same sort of setup. If I reset the wave, we'll just take it to 1. Now when the wave comes in and it activates the wave, we get the wave bouncing off or refracting at a particular angle depending upon what values that we've got. So here we'll speed up the angle. So depending upon the wave speed that we have on the refracted side, it changes the angle that it actually refracts off. You can once again measure the wavelength on the refracted side, and it matches your Snell's law with your ratios. So same sort of things, we can do that. If we reverse the order, let's just say it's actually traveling slower here and faster on the other side, you can actually, the neat thing is you can actually show where you get a critical angle. So if we get a wave front, so obviously here we don't get any wave fronts being generated, I'll increase the point source. So there's no wavelength overlapping here. So there's no wavefront formed. So if I change the angle that it's coming at, when I get a wavefront being formed here, that's when the critical angle happens. So obviously we have a wavefront formed here, we get the value. And once again, if we do enormous waves, we can actually go and measure it and verify both Snell's law by both the wavelength as well as measuring the angle. So it's a neat little program visualizing all the various little intricacies of Huygens principle and really solidifies some of the key concepts to it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you like the program.